Average at Best Cornhole, back at it again, and I didn't know a whole lot about Crazy 8 Bag Co. Stumbled across them on Facebook. I'm like, they kind of got like this big cult following, you know, a Facebook group and everything. So figured we give the bags a try.
Yeah, absolutely. And I never even heard of them until Craig handed me one of the bags to start throwing, and I'm glad you did. So
it was kind of neat though, going into something you don't know anything about, but these are some great bags. We got some Boss 8s here, and we got some Captiv8tors, and we're going to get into a little bit more detail on them, but I was very impressed.
All right, baggage time on these, and we're going to talk about speeds first. And pretty cool with Crazy 8s because he actually provides a range of speed on these bags rather than just a specific speed. You're going to find that on his Facebook. Currently, there's not a website for him. All right, we'll start off with the Captiv8tors, and we have a 6 to 7 on the slow side here. And I'm not real sure what he means with that range, if that's just in different humidity conditions.
Or brand new to broken in.
Yeah, brand new versus broken in. But then we also have a 9-speed on the fast side for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then going over to the Bosses, we actually got a little bit slower on the slow side with that. And we're looking at a 5 to 6, and then a 9 up to a 10-speed on the fast side.
Yeah, and we're way more familiar with the slow side on the Boss 8s. And some people do list it as a 6. I don't know if it is a 6, so I kind of do like that range. We found out on the ramp that, yes, the Boss 8s are a little bit slower than the Captiv8tors, but I wouldn't say like a full digit anyways. Yeah. And then the fast sides proved correct to the rating also. Speaking of those materials, the Boss 8, it does have the popular R hybrids for the slow side. And then the Captiv8tors, I don't know if you've been watching our videos recently, we said this is becoming popular. We had at least 5 different sets of bags with this slow side. We're calling it the Charmin hybrid just because it's so soft, but that's the same one you'll find on the Icons, the Big Mac bags, whatevers. We got some true Cornhole velocities coming up with it, and also the Surge X.
All right, template on these, both of them have a fairly large template. I remember when Craig first got these, he said they both felt really full to him. After playing with them a whole bunch, the Boss 8 did break down a little bit, so the Captiv8tor does have a fuller feel, where the Boss got a little floppier and the material probably stretched out a little bit more, I think.
Probably, yeah. So yeah, Justin kind of mentioned the flop a little bit, but getting into fill, the Boss 8, it does have a tri-blend fill to it. There's some rounds, there's some flats, discs, whatever. I don't know what makes up that tri-blend. It's a pretty good blend. Captiv8tor, I mean, that's primarily all flat fill. And I don't like comparing bags too often, but we try so many different bags with this hybrid slow side, and they're all different. This has got to be the first one that really reminds me of a Viper R, only that it has that tri-blend mix fill, and that's what makes it a little bit different and maybe a little bit more drippy.
All right, bagmanship on these. I love when we get these smaller guys because the quality that these bags are excellent, and we've come to kind of expect that from the smaller guys, and Crazy 8's no exception. The quality on these are excellent. I have zero complaints about them. Every seam's great. Bag feels great.
Yeah, you can tell it's hand sewn with a little bit of pride.
Yeah.
And the sublimation on them, too. I mean, there's some very good graphics on there that just pop, you know?
Yeah, and they look great for as much as we've thrown these, and these have been thrown on gravel and everything, and they still look fantastic, which you can't say for every bag. So great job there.
Break-in method on these, they both felt pretty good when we got them brand new. The Captiv8tors were a little bit more stiffer, you know, primarily just that fast side. So we just did a warm water soak and a low heat tumble dry.
Forgiveness on these bags, both pretty good. I found the Captiv8tor a little more forgiving. It was a little fuller, or because it's a little fuller, you would think maybe not the case, but I really had no issues. A lot of times with a full bag like that, you may experience kicks and bounces, and the Captiv8tor didn't do that.
Yeah, that flat fill is definitely going to help that out, you know. And I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking, it's a pretty full bag. It's going to kick a little bit on me, but no issues at all.
Yeah, and the Boss 8's very forgiving bag as well, just not as good as the Captiv8tor. I struggle more with forgiveness on a bag as floppy as that, so that went against me, but I know Craig liked them quite a bit.
I did like them, but I didn't like them because they were a forgiving bag. But, I mean, they were an active bag, and that's why. I mean, you got a mixed fill in there that it's not going to be a forgiving bag, right? Well, that's not going to be the first thing you think about, I guess.
Oh, for sure.
When you think about that bag, you know, we throw it and we see it kick, and we're like, ooh, let's try to cut this thing, you know?
Right.
Next up was whole bodiness, and they both had pretty good whole bodiness. I think I'm going to give the nod to the Boss 8, though. It just seemed like as soon as it got to the hole, it kind of dripped. And like I said, you know, since it was active and you go to cut it, you know, you can plan for those ones where that floppy corner just catches and swings around. And another, like this thing, and I guess the Captiv8tor was too, like I just found them squeezing in the tight openings quite a bit.
Yeah, I saw pretty much the same thing. The Boss 8s are definitely a little drippier. Sometimes the Captiv8tor, that corner would grab, but they're just enough wouldn't fall to get it in a hole. So the Boss 8 gets the nod on that, but both pretty hole-friendly bags. Collectability on these bags, both very good. The Captiv8tor collected very well, but it also collected everything in its path. So if I was right next to a blocker and I wanted to grab my bag but leave the blocker, I kept catching the blocker. It just seemed like it was a bulldozer and just took everything in.
It's fast and full, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and it did that very well. Now the Boss 8, very collectible as well, but that one you could fit in between that blocker, grab your bag, and leave your opponent. So
yeah, it should pop up on the videos. We were seeing that a couple times. You think it's going to take both the bags, but it doesn't. It only takes the one bag you want it to take, which...
Yeah, and I think that's good for, doing more creative collects and stuff like that. Probably for more beginner player and stuff, the Captiv8tor is probably more the way to go.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're more skilled and stuff and you're looking for something that's fun to collect with, Boss 8 gets it.
As far as speed consistency, all these hybrid materials, they're going to be consistent. We know that. And we got proof. We were playing. It's Ohio. It's fall. It drops like 30 degrees when nighttime comes around. The boards, was it last weekend? It was like someone hosed them down, and I was playing these Boss 8s the whole night. Yep. People were swapping bags out, trying to dry them over to fire, and those things were even damp, and they still weren't sticking as much as other bags.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add to that. Both of them, very consistent on the speeds. I like the Captiv8tor a little more just because it's a little faster. So as that dew sets in, it's easier to keep sliding up the board. All right, get into the capable shots here. I think both bags you can comfortably run holes with no question, right?
Yeah, no doubt about that, yeah.
When it comes to blocking the Captiv8tor, the size and the fullness of the bag would be great for that, but that material is really hard to stop in front of the hole.
It is, but I mean...
It can be done.
Throw a good arch, and it makes a good blocker.
It does make a good blocker, but yeah, you got to kind of change your angle and stuff to get it to stick. Otherwise, with the speed of that carpet, it runs up the board.
Yeah, and I was cutting them too, thinking that, hey, I'm going to get this cut and catch the back of the hole, and that wasn't happening as much for me because it just wasn't cutting enough.
Right.
But, I mean, as far as running holes, I should have just threw the bag. That would have been my go-to,
right.
But I was trying to be a little fancy, I guess. The Boss 8, though, I would assume all shots are capable with that bag.
Yeah.
Because I saw some bounce. I bounced over the hole a few times with it. It is pretty floppy, though, so it's going to be harder to roll, but there's people out there that I'm sure can roll that bag. And I was able to manipulate it right and left pretty easily.
Yeah.
So running holes, cutting around blockers, probably the go-to for that bag. So moving on to company information, and Justin kind of touched on it a little bit. He does not have a website or anything, just Facebook. So there is his official Facebook page, which is just Crazy 8 Bag Co. And if you want to purchase bags or whatever, you just send them a message through that, essentially. That's how you get hold of them. But there is also a fan group that if you get in troubles or whatever, you got some questions, it's the Crazy 8 Crazies, actually. And that's what I was saying. It's kind of like a cult following. Those people really love these bags. So if you have any questions about the bags even, try to hop on there and ask a few questions.
All right, we'll touch base on just the designs with Crazy 8 real quick. And they're going to kind of shine here a little bit because these bags, they pop, very vibrant, nice colors and everything. It's super cool how he incorporates the number 8 into each of the names that we've seen so far. So kudos to him, and I'm sure he's going to keep pumping out, some pretty cool prints and designs.
Yeah, and then as far as availability on that, there's some different things going on. I think you can message him and have any bag made to order that you want. He might be able to send you designs or whatever. But he does do a lot of limited releases, like these Boss 8s. There's only 10 of those sets made and put up for sale. And, we are in October right now. He has some sweet Halloween designs going on. I think he has a pretty famous one that's going to be pre-order through the end of the month. So like I said, find that Facebook group. Or find a Facebook page if you're interested, look around a little bit, and then all this information will make a little bit more sense to you. Cost on these bags, we're going to go with a 3.5 bagger. I know that they don't have a stamp, but we said it before, that doesn't really bother us. We don't need a stamp. Right. $80 ship for a set of bags, and high quality, good bags. You can't really beat that, especially with the way prices are going up nowadays.
All right, last, we're just going to give our overall opinion on these bags. I'll go ahead and start, and I enjoyed both bags. I definitely lean more towards the Captiv8tor. Main reason for that is hand feel. Again, the Boss 8, it's got a little more flop to it, so if you prefer that, you'll be looking more at that bag. But I still like the Boss 8. I was able to play that. I felt comfortable. After using it for a while, I was able to get a grip that I can consistently, throw the same release each time. So that was pretty cool. But again, going back to, just finding these small companies with the quality of bags these guys are pumping out. Again, who cares about the stamps? That has no influence, whether you should like a bag like this. These both bags are home runs, and I totally recommend them to everybody.
Support the small businesses
right?
if you can.
Yep.